to our left-hand side is a major force in the world of stand-up, and we need comedy tonight like never before.
Yes.
In fact, his latest tour is called Force Majeure. There you go.
Yes, indeed.
And here he is on stage questioning the positivity. How dare he, though, have musical theatre?
Musicals, it seems to be, they can be about anything. They're just going to be upbeat and people are going to win in the end. And you just sing. You say, I've lost my trousers. He's lost his trousers. Where can they go? Where have they gone? Walked away. They walked away in the night. Or was it a thief? Or were they burnt in a fire? Or did mice steal them, put them on the head, looked like big ears and run away and they felt they were dogs in the night? Oh, I don't know. He'll have to go to Trouser Mountain, Trouser Mountain, get a new pair of trousers. You gotta go to Trouser Mountain.
Hits in the making.
That's not what the whole show is. I just don't understand musicals. I'm an action transvestite and I don't understand. I know action movies and I know makeup commercials. That's what I know. But I don't. Yeah, so musicals befuddle me. Well, they're very upbeat, aren't they? Very popular.
They're brilliant. I love
Les Miserables isn't a gag a minute, to be honest.
No, I've still never seen that. I've still never.
Well, maybe that would sort of answer your question.
They're a bit miserable in that, isn't it?
Well,
that's why the title.
The title would
Which
suggest.
is German, I think. Yes. So yes, Force Majeure. I've just come back from a tour of Canada. I've gone all through Europe, and I played Moscow and St. Petersburg and Istanbul and crazy places. And now Germany's coming up next year. But yes, the DVD is on sale, and with subtitles as well, and also because I talk a lot about stuff that's from Wikipedia and in like Cats with Guns but real things, like Emperor Constantine took the Roman Empire into Christianity, and so you can press a button and you can get all the facts checked. You get all the. It's actually an educational tool
As well.
Yes, and there's a bleep track on it because I swear occasionally, but there's a bleep track on there so that you can so the kids can just watch.
Good for the young ones.
Yes.
So you're celebrating 25 years this year as well, aren't you?
Yes, I'm 25 years old, and it's good now in my young life to be touring after 25 years.
But did you ever think when you started that you would tour in French? You'd be learning Germany, that you'd do it in Russian.
I know. I never thought that, and I have a bit of an ambition. I think it's okay to be ambitious and go for things, but I never thought that I could get that going. So the French took 15 years. 15 years from the first one, which is in the documentary of me being absolutely terrible in French, completely just because I got fear in my head and I couldn't think of any of the words that I knew, and I was just sweating and bad. And afterwards they asked some people, how do you think it went? And the British people who were there, being supportive, they went, it was awful. They actually said it was awful. A French woman said, no, he tried, so it's good. It's kind of a victory for trying, strength over adversity or whatever.
Are you trying to get all this, this different... You love to experiment with tours and live gigs out of the way before the big 2020 assault on the mayorship of London?
Well, that is, 2019, about May 2019, I've got to start closing down. So I've got about 5.5 years to go. And so, I have to do that. I want to do gigs I want to be touring in German, then Spanish, then Russian, and hopefully Arabic, if I can get it going.
OK, you're also fiercely protective of your private life, you always have been. But if you actually take public office, that's got to change, hasn't it? Are you ready for that? Is there anything you'd like to start with now on the One Show?
I am a transvestite, I better get that out.
Yeah, we know that anyway.
Well, what else is there?
Well, we don't know. Are you ready for that?
I play the banjo. I can't play the banjo.
But are you ready for that, seriously?
Yeah, well, I mean, they pretty much... Well, I don't know if it's going to be a huge difference between being a performer
Celebrity.
and being in the way that the press might say, hey, can we have a look at your private life? I just think if people in my private life say they don't want to be talked about on the press, I say I got to respect that. That's their wishes, and so I don't talk about them. And other people do that same. And I think everyone.
All right, where do you sit on the subject of chocolate brownies?
Chocolate brownies, I think they're fantastic.
Good.
I think, but I don't eat them anymore. Okay. I think all sugar is fantastic, but it is drugs to me, so I can't do it.
Well,
Thank you very much, Jay, and congratulations to Jerry.
Here she is, Jerry.
They look incredible. But this competition has actually changed your life, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. It really has. It's made a huge difference.
How has it inspired you?
Well, what I'm looking to do in the new year is to try and sell my baking into small outlets that don't have time to bake themselves.
OK, your recipe is on our website now, so you can make these award-winning brownies.
Should we have a little...
Have a little taste, but when we say award-winning brownies, we were going to present you with a surprise award, Jerry, but during that last film, your film, Alex went to grab it, knocked it on the floor and smashed it into pieces. So it is down here, but it's not an award. It's no kind of award you'd really want to win anymore, to be honest.
Well, it must have been cheap because
you
it's
go.
in two bits now.
So there you
Sorry.
go. No, try and make that. Right. There you go. Make
Presentation, Chris.
that.
I'm sorry, Jerry.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jerry. I
Hopefully the
apologise.
business will take off and it'll all be worth
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
You
round
don't
of applause
need
for
that.
Jerry, please. Thank you. Boo to you, the villain.
Why did you do that?
I said I'd sort it out, and I did. Anyway, as well as making an indelible mark on world history, Nelson Mandela created a lasting impression on the people that met him, symbolising many things to many of those people.
Yes, the One Show has been to hear how he touched different people's lives in so many ways.
I met Nelson Mandela months after he was released from prison.
I met Nelson Mandela in 1998 when I was 6 because he came to Cardiff for the Freedom of the City ceremony.
So I was privileged to meet Madiba Mandela when he visited our community in Brixton. And he'd come because we used to write to him while he was confined on Robben Island. And after he was released, he said publicly that he wished to thank people who had been in support of their struggle.
I was the chief executive of Lambeth when Nelson Mandela came to visit in 1996.
I first met Nelson Mandela here at Wembley Stadium. I produced the Nelson Mandela 70th birthday tribute and his official international reception.
We just called to say we love you.
Madiba was a tremendous inspiration because he embodied having confronted the extreme of what we were experiencing. During the 1970s, where hand-to-hand fighting, stones, bricks, petrol bombs were seen on the streets of Brixton, we wanted to be respected. We had no place in the system. Apartheid is an unimaginable thing for most people. You know, being regarded as less than human, not being able to be free. Now, this reflected certain of our experiences. For us, he was the model of challenging those things.
What struck me when he came out of prison was, firstly, his lack of bitterness. And if anything, the years in prison made him even more determined, so that he would be free. Having met him on a number of occasions, every time it was a privilege to be in his company. It's when you spoke to him, you felt he was speaking to you, not to anybody else. Unlike some politicians who you can see their eyes shifting to look over your shoulder, looking for somebody more important to speak to. With Mandela, you were the most important person around.
I presented the bouquet of flowers as was planned and then walked along the red carpet with him to listen to the choir singing, and then I was supposed to sit in the audience with my dad, and then he said, come sit with me on the podium, so I sat on his lap for the ceremony then. The one thing that sticks in my memory is the way his personality just shone through straight away when he was interacting with the children. He was dancing, clapping, singing, he was really enjoying himself, and that really came through his charisma.
As Nelson Mandela came out of the car, there was this fantastic cheer, an eruption of sheer joy. And when he spoke, you could hear a pin drop.
I love each and every one of you here without exception.
I think I was speechless, actually. I did feel I was in the presence of somebody who was utterly exceptional.
Once we got him on stage, he hadn't been used to talking on television, he hadn't been used to microphones. Before he went into prison, he was speaking off the back of lorries and things. So he was politely waiting for the crowd to be quiet. And that was an 8-minute standing ovation. After 8 minutes, he decided to speak and started with the very historic words.
Thank you that you chose to care.
We were having lunch in North London, and I said to him, you're working too hard. We're very concerned about your health. And he simply said, thanks for your concern, but I've got 27 years to make up for. And I thought, well, there you go.
Over the last 15 years, I've still felt like a closeness to him, a bit of a link. Whenever I heard about him in the news or any stories came up about him, I'd feel like, oh, I know him almost.
If I had to describe Mandela in one word, humanitarian.
If I had to describe Nelson Mandela in one word, I would say charismatic.
The key thing for me is integrity.
One word, that's hard. His towering humanity.
You can't describe him in one word. He's a man of great courage, great compassion, great spirit of reconciliation.
Mandela,
And the Reverend Rose Hudson-Wilkins, chaplain to the House of Commons, is here with us now too. Welcome, Rose. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So for you then, Nelson Mandela's legacy is all about the lesson he taught us all in forgiveness, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. Many, many years ago, someone asked me what my ambition in life was. And I actually said then that my ambition was to meet Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela. And thankfully I did. Nelson Mandela was the hero amongst us. You know, normally we have heroes on a page in a book that you read about. He was living, he was here. And for me, his legacy will actually not so much about someone preaching from a pulpit, but actually someone living out what forgiveness meant, someone living out what love is. And that was real and tangible. He was not a power-hungry person. He wasn't about that. He really simply wanted to serve, to care for the vulnerable. He wanted justice. He wanted freedom. And that's just an amazing thing to hang on to. Great legacy.
And, you know, forgiveness comes from a lack of bitterness and anger, which surprised many people after he'd been incarcerated unjustly for 27 years. And they continue to be surprised about that.
Yes. The reason I think why people are surprised that he could be so forgiving is because we know that if that was our experience, the rage that would be inside us for such great injustice. And yet we do not see that rage from him. What we see is pure love, just reaching out, not unlike the love of Jesus Christ.
And we know, Eddie, that Nelson Mandela's also affected and inspired you, but what were your impressions when you met him the first time?
Well, he wasn't meeting people. It was in 2010, 2011, I met him. It's only a couple of years ago. And he wasn't meeting. Suddenly he was. And I was doing all these charity gigs in South Africa for his charity. And suddenly you were going to be there. So I was kind of... my mind was slightly blown by meeting him. And he had this great energy, and he was saying, you know, I met the Queen of England. She was there. And the Queen of the Netherlands, I met her. And you must tell me about this. And what is it you do? I do not know what you do. And he was just chatting away. And who landed on the moon?
Armstrong?
Neil Armstrong was just walking out. So I was going in. So, I mean, it's a crazy...
Did you give him a high five?
I didn't. I was so into seeing Nelson Mandela, I didn't realise that he'd been sitting there, and they said that was Neil Armstrong just walking.
OK, so 20 seconds we've got to talk about these marathons. The intended 27 Mandela marathons.
Yes, I was going to 27 in 27 days as a tribute to his 27 years in prison, raising money for charities in South Africa. After 4, I had to stop. I got rhabdomyolysis, and the doctor said stop now. But that was great, and now I'm plugged into doctors who are telling me exactly what I should be doing, and so I will be going back, hopefully, 2014, doing all 27. And I'll just keep doing it until I do it.
All right.
Well, an amazing effort, though.
All right, thanks to Reverend Rose for joining us this evening. Very auspicious day. And also to Mr. Eddie Izzard. Round of applause for Eddie. DVD, Force Majeure, is out now.